Yeah, it still says, there we go.
Okay, here we go. I think it had to wait for the 10. Yeah. Hey, this is Jim Feist in Las Vegas. Andy Iskoe is joining me today. Greg DePalma will join. He's our producer and co-host. And we're coming to you from or sponsored by Dom DeMarco's Pizzeria Live. It's we do live shows there for about 30 weeks a year, but in the summer we just do them offline like this. 9785 West Charleston. If you like Italian food, pizza, wine, beer, great Italian food across the board, you got to go there, meet the staff. Albert is the owner. It's a wonderful place. By 10 minutes from my house, I go there all the time. And if I'm not going, I order out and pick it up and bring it home. Great spot. Andy.
Good morning.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about the report that you put out. I don't know how long you put it, how often every year you put it out, but the logical report, I know in football you have it. I don't know, do you have it the rest of the year? Tell me
Just
a little
football.
bit about it.
Yeah, just football. Actually, 3 different newsletters. I'm probably going to have some samples up there that are more current than the ones that are up on the website, thelogicalapproach.com right now. I sort of shut it down once we get past March Madness, as I sort of do some redesigning, and I'm involved with a lot of other things. But no, I've been doing this newsletter probably 1983 or so, well before I where was I? In 1983, I was living in Rhode Island. And so that predates my 5 or 6 years in Little Rock, which preceded my what's now almost exactly 35 years out here in Las Vegas. Basically, half my life now has been out here. Wow. In any event, I've been doing a college and pro football newsletter. I've been doing a newsletter that is devoted exclusively to NFL teasers. And then another one that is sort of like trends and tendencies that is basically, because my whole approach has been that when you take a look that a team is, let's say, 15-5 in a certain situation against the point spread, it's not so much that team is 15-5 against the point spread as it is that the betting markets have underestimated that team in 15 of 20 times of that situation, because the team has overachieved according to what the line said it should do. So it's not so much that the team does it, it's the public, the betting public interpretation of the expectations for that team, whether they're too high or too low in given games.
Well, that is true. We are betting against the bookmaker, not against the public. And because it's the bookmaker that pays us off, or we pay him. So that's how it goes. Greg DePalma has joined. I see him there with a football and a flag behind him. I don't know what
and a golf ball.
Football, excuse me, it's a golf ball.
Yeah.
Big week this week.
I wasn't drinking. Yep. I recognize it is really a golf ball.
Nice to actually hear you guys talking about football when I popped in. That was refreshing.
Christmas Day 2.0 is about 48 hours away, Thursday, when they release the full schedule.
Yeah, that's when we'll start doing some real analysis about over and under win totals and stuff.
Yeah.
Well,
the thing is, we've known who every team is going to play since the day the season ended. What we haven't known, and that's the critical part that Jim refers to, is the sequencing of the games. How many teams have 3 straight road games? How many teams go coast to coast to coast in 3 straight weeks or something, if they're like on a West Coast or an East Coast team, playing at home, going on the road, coming back home, etc. Once we know the sequencing, and the big part here in Vegas, and I guess around the country as well, Survivor contests, contestants can really start planning out their strategies once they know what the schedule is.
Now, we recently in Las Vegas had a change of ownership. Does Caesar take over Westgate? Is that what happened?
Just a sportsbook operation, from what I understand. I don't know when it becomes official. I haven't heard anything since it was announced. I want to say it was April 21st or something like that. So we're talking about probably about 3 weeks ago today that it may have been announced. We don't know any of the details yet, when it's going to be effective, how it's going to be run. I understand they're going to have some kiosks in there that'll probably have Caesar's lines. I don't know what's happening to the folks who are currently at the Westgate. Now, the initial press release did indicate that the Westgate does expect to continue holding its super contest, but I'm guessing that's also subject to change. And I imagine that unless, again, I don't know all the details, because, again, the Westgate does have an app, but they don't have kiosks, so you can't bet other than on your mobile app if you're not in the book itself. I'm not quite sure if it means that Caesars is going to control all aspects of it or just certain aspects of it, and the lines are still going to be made by Westgate employees. I'm not sure about that. I don't think that's the case, but we haven't gotten clarity on it. And I know that when we're talking about the football contest, the Circa usually starts taking their entries around Memorial Day weekend, which is coming up in about 2.5 weeks. They should announce their contest plans, what their guarantees are going to be, sometime in the next week or two, I believe.
I saw where the owner, Greg Stevens, it's
Derek Stevens, yeah.
Derek Stevens. Yeah. It looks like he's going to have a big announcement. Does that mean he's going to raise the prize?
Guarantee.
I mean, it's already a huge.
Well, I think what he's going to do is he may scale back. Although that's not like him, he usually increases or stays the same. But the guarantee for the last 2 years for the Circa Millions, which is the clone of the Westgate contest where you pick 5 games a week, that has been $6 million, I believe, each of the last 2 years. And I think that they've not attracted at $1,000 entry point, that I don't believe either year that they've attracted the 6,000 entries they needed to fully fund the $6 million guarantee. They've come close, or maybe they exceeded it by 100,000 or fell short by 100,000. So I would not be totally surprised if that is not increased, or I wouldn't be shocked if it's decreased, but I would imagine I wouldn't be surprised if it stays the same, because what we've seen, I believe this is the 7th or the 8th year of the Circa Millions, and the Survivor contest, I believe, started 1 year after the Circa Millions. So if this is year 8 of Millions, it's year 7 of Circa, of Survivor. And what we've seen each year is that the number of entries in Survivor has increased. I want to say that maybe the original guarantee may have been like $1.5 million, winner take all. Last year, it was over $18 million. There are over 18,000 entries. And I wouldn't be surprised if the guarantee this year is somewhere in the vicinity of $20 to $25 million, that they're going to expect 20,000 to 25,000 entries, because that has become an extremely popular contest.
Well, that's life-changing money.
Oh yeah, that's the one that has those, that NFL season's 18 weeks. The Survivor contest is 20 weeks because they've split Thanksgiving weekend into 2 separate contest weeks and the Christmas holiday into 2 separate weeks. So that's 20 contest weeks. And if I recall correctly, I don't believe we have ever had, and I think they've been doing more than the regular season number of weeks for 4 or 5 seasons now. I don't believe they have ever had a season where there was only one winner of the contest, meaning you had to go perfect throughout all weeks of the contest, which is very exciting. As you
what do they do at the end? Chop it up between a bunch of people? They just make a deal?
Yeah, I think last year, I think the prize was 18 million something. I think they each got I think there were, I don't know, was it 10 or 11 maybe that split it up, that got like 1.6 million or something like that. So it receives a lot of national attention. I believe they even have podcasts every week that break down the field. That's a big thing with their affiliation with VEASAN, that they talk a lot about that. That's become the contest that everyone looks forward to each week during the season.
Well, with Caesars taking over the Westgate, it's going to become a battle between the Circa and Caesars, because they're the 2 big dogs on the block.
Yeah.
So I would say, and Derek is pretty aggressive and a smart guy, really successful guy.
Yeah.
He'll probably jump up the 6 million up to 10 million, and maybe he'll do something aggressive, because he's a pretty aggressive guy.
If I remember correctly, I think this was even before Circa opened, because Derek's been to Vegas a lot. I seem to recall that he started to gain a lot of notoriety locally, at least, when March Madness came out on that Sunday night. He would make a $10,000 bet on something on every game for the first round of the tournament.
Oh wow!
And I think that started before the Circa opened, but after the Circa, the plans for Circa had already been announced. I think
that's a little more than Greg and I bet on all those games.
Yeah, but not that
Speak
much
for yourself.
Hey.
Well, we do want to talk about football, NBA, WNBA, golf, tennis. I mean, there's just too much to do. Everybody says football season's over. You guys must have nothing to do. Well, hell, I think I have more to do. It's just
Exactly.
I'm busier every day than I am in the fall. Greg, what do you got on your mind today?
Well, I'm already, I never used to have these interviews with my college football or NFL analyst until training camp, July, August. But this year, for the first time, I decided, obviously doing more football, the earlier the better. And so I started to contact these guys and I said, hey, I want to get your feeling after the draft, before, just before OTAs, and even a month or two out for training camp. Same thing in college ball. Right after spring practice, there's a lot going on. And I tell you what, I wish I had done this earlier in my life, because I learned so much so soon, so early in the summer, that is it even summer yet? That
It's 104 here, Greg.
I guess
We set a daily record yesterday.
Yeah. So and nothing really changes except for injuries. So I've already looked at a few teams and had these conversations with some of these guys, and I've looked at the win totals, and I looked at the futures, and looked at the schedules, and looked at.
Are you talking college and pro, or just
both?
Pro right
Yeah.
now? Oh, both. Okay.
Yeah. Matter of fact, in college, just the last couple of days, really, I think the one team that looks like a really good bet is the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, their win total is 10.5.
Where's Oregon?
Oregon is also, I think, at 10.5, but I don't like Oregon right now. I'm doing like this buy sell format for all the teams that I talk to, and which way would I go? Would I buy it now? Would I put money on them or not? And Oregon is actually one of the teams that I wouldn't put money on now, just because they have I think they're the ones that from what I recall, they have a big. I think they're at minus 180. It's either Oregon or Georgia has a minus 180 on 10.5. One of them's got 9.5. But the problem is the schedule for both of those teams, Georgia and Oregon. I think it's Georgia. I think Georgia has a minus 180 on it. It's like, I'm not putting 180 on a team that has two. Look at their schedule. They got two very tough teams they got to face, which means they got to run the table on the rest. Oregon, meanwhile, they've got a really tough couple of games that they have to play. And so Miami, they played Notre Dame this year, and that's going to be a monster game. But when you look at Miami's schedule, there's like nobody on the schedule with the talent Miami is going to have this year, that unless they just decide to have, like one of those like off weeks that Miami does tend to have, chances are there's just no way that they're going to lose another game. And so looking at their win total,
what's their win total, Miami?
10.5.
Where do they play Notre Dame?
They play them at Notre Dame, because that was a home and home.
Yeah, so they will not be able to afford another loss after they lose to Notre Dame.
And that's why
and you know why I haven't seen the line on Notre Dame yet, but Miami's the team that kept Notre Dame out of the playoffs last year.
Well,
yeah, I would actually. What was that, Jim?
Are there lines up already, Andy?
I think I've not really looked closely for them, but I do believe that there are some lines up somewhere, probably on some of the offshore plays, the DraftKings, for like week 1 of college football.
Okay.
Yeah, I exactly. I did see that. I'd have to check and see if they have any special odds. But like right here, this is Miami's schedule. So as you can see, this is like easy. Clemson can't possibly have more talent than last year's team, and they were terrible last year. Florida State at home. North Carolina's not going to beat them. Duke, Virginia, all home.
No, but North Carolina could cover the point spread, because isn't that the week right before Notre Dame?
Oh yeah, we don't care about the point spread. We're talking about the win totals.
We do. I care about the point spread.
Well, not in May. So
no, but it's looking ahead. It's kind of like everybody's anticipating that LSU Ole Miss game with the Lane Kiffin defection.
Oh yeah, you could have a look ahead game where you're thinking about the next week and you actually lose the damn game, right?
Yeah, I would never bet odds on a game in May, because anything can happen with all sorts of crazy stuff. Injuries, especially.
Well, I would, because injuries are always a concern, and you don't know, it could affect either team. But as you get closer and closer to game day, let's talk about the Notre Dame Miami game. Everyone's going to be talking about, well, this is the biggest game for Notre Dame after what happened last year. That the line the week or two before that game will start going up from where you can get it in May.
Okay. I mean, I ain't gonna fight that. It's a great idea.
I mean, there's only maybe 3 to 5 games a year that type of situation you could say where there are intangibles that may not be reflected in that opening early springtime line, but certainly will impact where the line moves as that game gets closer, and those intangibles begin to be talked about because now the game is approaching.
Isn't there somebody that puts up games or lines on the big games for the year, the big marquee games? I mean, not every game or not everything on the schedule, but just the marquee games. Isn't there somebody?
I know Westgate does it for many, many years. I think Circa has done it. I think Golden Nugget has done it. South Point, I believe, the major ones here. I don't know about some of the other ones here in town, but those usually come up in July.
I'd like
now more and more places, and I think the offshore places, they don't, they'll put it up whenever they can. I mean, I think the offshore places had NFL win totals probably out by the end of January, even though nobody knew the outline of the schedule, but they knew who everybody was playing. And the more money they get in, the longer they hold it. And when you put up an 8.5 on a team on February 3rd, your guess is as good as the public, but you've got the minus 110 or minus 120 working for you.
Right.
Well, speaking of Notre Dame, that's another team that I definitely like. Now, look, I'm not going to do minus 270 on 10.5, which means they have to go undefeated. But when you take a look at Notre Dame's schedule, their schedule is pretty easy this year. It makes Miami's schedule look tough. So that means that if Notre Dame can beat Miami, then they have a really good chance of going undefeated. And then therefore, like, for instance, here's the schedule. I mean, there's nothing here. I mean, at BYU, I think is their toughest game outside of Miami. I mean, look at the schedule. There's nothing there. So if Notre Dame,
what'd you show that line? Plus 170 on the over 11.
Notre Dame is plus 160 if they go undefeated.
Yeah.
Yep. And then there's no way I'm doing this, of course, but yeah, that's a good gamble to go undefeated, because really you're looking at that Miami game and you're going, okay, if they can beat Miami, then they got a good chance. It's always risky to go to bet undefeated. I get it, because you could always, I mean, look at Notre Dame. They've had these off weeks before. And if you lose one game, you're going to go to the tournament. But, I get plus 160. It's not a bad idea.
Have we had time, you guys are much more on top of the college football, but have we had time to analyze all the nil and the portal transfers and everything?
Oh, it's all over. Everybody at this point, like 95% of the portal players are locked into the teams they're going to be playing for.
Since we're talking about college, we are up on top of football and basketball for the college schedules. And I'm bringing this out from nowhere here, but I know a lot of sharp bettors that are playing college baseball.
Yep.
I do not. I have not. But I talked to a guy the other day at lunch, and I said, "What are you betting these days?" He says, "I'm all over the college baseball." And this guy's a pretty heavy hitter, but I mean, the numbers they're not able to bet big numbers, but they're all over it. And I look at all the lines are up every day, college baseball games. I mean, why are we ignoring college baseball when we're all over all the other college games that are bettable?
Very simple reason. It's only 24 hours in a day. You got hockey going on.
I thought we negotiated longer days.
Yeah, but it got vetoed.
I see.
No, seriously. Right now you got the NFL, the NBA playoffs, the NHL playoffs. Your baseball is approaching, the handicappable part of the season, as most of these teams have played, about 30, 35 games. You've got the WNBA just starting up right now. That's going to go through August or into September or something. There's only so much, and now you've got the majors in the golf tournament. You've got the weekly tennis tournaments. There are years, and plus you've got more and more teams, especially at the college level, that are moving up to the top level of college football, college basketball. So there are more teams in there. We just heard last week both the men and women's NCAA tournaments going from 68 to 76 teams beginning next year. So there are more teams. Seasons are starting earlier. There's a greater overlap whereas 20, 30 years ago, Jim, you remember this, that, college basketball didn't start till like the first week in December, when college football was basically
not that
ending.
old, Andy.
All right, then I will tell you, I remember those days when the seasons did not overlap nearly as much. Baseball ended in the middle of October. Now the World Series goes into the early part of November, and so there's much more to do. And that's why, and I have continually said that I do it over all the sports because I enjoy all the sports as a fan. If I weren't betting on them, I would enjoy them just the way I enjoyed them as a young kid. You know, the hockey, the football, the basketball, the baseball, etc. Okay, but if someone is starting out now, I tell them specialize in one sport a season. Learn as much as you can about that one sport, because you're going up. Yeah, because the money doesn't care where it comes from. You know, if you women's basketball or NASCAR, whatever, if you can be an expert. And by the way, it's not that easy to win, even if you concentrate on one sport. But your odds are better, your percentage of chance, because, well, I'm looking at baseball, and then I'm looking at basketball for tonight, and then hockey for tonight. The guy who specializes in baseball, while I'm looking at the basketball and hockey, he's breaking down the baseball games more and more and more than I can. He should have an advantage over me.
Now, our Ghost Wins Sports just put a comment up, WNBA, money. He put a bag of money there. Yeah, I agree. There is money in it. 2 years ago, I beat it pretty good. Last year was a little mixed. So far this year, I'm doing well with it. But yes, it is a sport. They're getting a lot more money. I mean, seriously, I know there's some people don't like WNBA. I don't know why, but they play hard. They're getting paid a lot more money.
The quality of play in the WNBA, much like in college basketball, women's college basketball, has increased probably 100-fold over the last 20 years.
Definitely. And now they're getting so much more television time. Oh, it's my God. And it's really growing. And as the NBA is falling. So let's talk a little bit about the NBA. Wemby threw an elbow the other day that if it hit any of the three of us, it would have killed us, because he's a big guy, 6'4", or 7'4", 7'5", whatever he is. And he hit one of the guys on Minnesota, and I thought he'd knock him out, but they took him out of the game. They threw him out of the game for the elbow, and they did not suspend him or fine him going forward. I don't know. Do you have an opinion on what happened there? It was a big deal. It's a big deal all over the media. Personally, I think they handled it right, and it just go forward. But there's other people that want them.
I had not been watching the game totally up to that point, as I was flipping around between the baseball and some of the other stuff that I was watching, the golf. So I don't know if there was anything that had led up to that type of play. And I think it occurred in the second quarter, so the game was not that old, and maybe there had been some physical contacts that got a little bit out of hand. I mean, I saw it, because certainly I could understand it. In fact, they played it last night, and initially the commentator said, "Oh, they thought it might be a flagrant one," okay, which didn't carry the suspension or the ejection. And then about 10 seconds after they looked at it a second time, the commentator said, "Well, it could be a flagrant 2," which is what it turned out to be. All I know that the impact, and they ended up not winning that game, is that I'm on Spurs tonight. I think Wemby comes out and takes a personal affront to having been.
Well, I tell you, I agree with you. I'm not saying I'm going to lay 10.5 because it's a big number, and Minnesota's capable.
Down to 9.5, and it's floating between 9.5 and 10 as we're doing it.
Okay. When I saw him play that second game, I said, "Oh my God, I can't believe this guy's that good." 39 points. I mean, just he is big. He's athletic. But he does get roughed up. I mean, he is only a kid. He's 22 years old. Yeah. He's tall. He's lean. The guys that he's playing against, these are NBA players. They're all big. I mean, none of them are. They're big. They're physical. They weigh a lot more than he does, and they do rough him up quite a bit. And I think the whistle doesn't protect him quite well. So I think he gets pretty frustrated. The elbow was aggressive. I think it was intentional, and I think they were right to throw him out. If it was a lesser player, they probably would have suspended him for another game.
Yeah.
But the one thing about the NBA, and I know Greg doesn't like the NBA or the WNBA, and he has his reasons for that. But The NBA is a mess. I'm sorry. They're the most inconsistent sport that looked to handicap. I don't know. Last night we had Donovan Mitchell. He scores 39 points in the second half. Oh my God. I said, I mean, that tied the record, by the way. And then he missed a foul shot that would have given him 40, which would have set the record. But they're so inconsistent, these teams. I mean, the Knicks are I mean, they're now waiting for the Cavs or Detroit, which might hurt them because they have to sit around a lot. But they've just been eating everybody alive. Not that they played this toughest schedule, but I mean, their point differential is amazing. I think it's a good watch. They're not consistent. WNBA just started a week ago, so I'm not going to get too off on that. But I do have Greg likes to give out free plays. I like the Lynx tonight plus points, and you just gave out the Spurs minus the points, so that's 2 freebies.
You like the Lynx?
Lynx plus,
okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, not your Lynx, not the LINKS Lynx that Greg likes, the LYNX Lynx. That plays.
You mean the LYNKS?
LY, yeah, LYNX. LYNX.
Where are they from?
LYNX, yeah, Minnesota Lynx.
Yeah.
Oh, Minnesota. Okay.
That's in the WNBA.
That's because the Minnesota Lynx has already been taken years ago by the Lakers.
Okay, I didn't know that. Okay.
So that's your play in the basketball
in that sport, the WNBA. Yeah. The Andy, what do you got going tonight that you want to talk about?
Well, I like the Spurs. I like them too. You know, again, I don't. Well, obviously Minnesota's a good team, and I think the series goes 7 games. But we talk about Wemby. We talked, I think, before the playoffs about maybe the lack of experience that San Antonio had compared to like an OKC who won the title last year, like Minnesota or Denver. Denver won a recent title. Minnesota's been a playoff caliber team the last 3, 4, 5 years. But Wemby, his talent alone makes up for that lack of experience, and he can almost single-handedly, unlike very, very few players, maybe a LeBron, maybe a Michael, who can elevate the entire play of the team. So that's why I did not discount the Spurs as far as making it far. Minnesota has got the ideal kind of team. You got a Gobert, you got an Edwards, you got Randall. They 3 quality players who can take up for one another if the other is not having a good game. So I think that Spurs win and cover tonight. I'm likely to be on Minnesota to moneyline win Game 6 back home. Not sure what I will do in Game 7. Maybe I'll take a look at the total or something. The last 3 games that these teams have played have gone over the total. And where are we at tonight in that? 218.5. That seems to be a fair number. So I'm on the Spurs tonight, and I'll be looking to be on Minnesota if they are down 3-2 in Game 6. If they're up 3-2, I'd probably be compelled to take the Spurs, but I don't know that they'd be laying that big of a number, and that Minnesota crowd is pretty enthusiastic.
What's the line on Detroit coming back home against Cleveland? Is that 4? 3.5. I like Detroit here a lot.
3.5 to 4, yeah.
Yeah, I like Detroit a lot in that game. By the way, I like to recognize the people that post on us. Ghost Win Sports said it's become unwatchable, Jim. He's meaning the not the
NBA,
NBA, and I totally agree with you, Ghost. Totally. And then he wrote that on he likes the Dream Wings over 181.5. I have not looked at that, so I can't comment.
The problem with the
for your comments. I appreciate it.
The problem with the NBA, and we saw some bitching and moaning with the draft, the lottery, and all that, especially with the Indiana Pacers having traded their draft pick, which I think was number 5, to the LA Clippers in some sort of trade or something, and they were moaning about the trade and everything. And my answer to that is, Indiana, how about trying to win a few more games and you wouldn't be in that situation? Tanking has become an issue. The NBA has started to make some changes as far as the lottery format. I don't think those changes have gone far enough. Number one, I don't think you should eliminate the teams that made the playoffs from getting a chance at the number one pick. Maybe you have a 1% chance, but you should not be penalized for excellence. Okay, you want to be penalized by having by making it more difficult. That's fine, but they should not have a 0% probability of getting a top draft choice because they happen to have the best record in the league or defending champions or whatever the case may be that they want to use. And I think as far as they go, they should also say that, okay, the team with the worst record should, of the 14 teams that got in the lottery, they should have the lowest percentage, not the highest percentage. Don't reward failure at the expense of other teams, especially, let's say, a team that just misses the playoffs despite the fact, let's say, they had a winning record, but it just wasn't good enough. That team gets penalized under the current lottery system.
Well, I think that this lottery thing, to tell you the truth, I think is just, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's good for the NBA. I don't think it's good for the NHL. I think they should do some sort of I think baseball, I think, does it the best, where if you end up with the first pick in the draft, next year you can't get the first pick in the draft. That precludes you from thinking too much. And it also puts you in a position where, hey, you know what? If we really are bad because we're bad, we deserve at some point to get the first pick in the draft. I mean, but that does not happen. Sometimes you get these teams that are trying to win. They just can't. So they say, okay, we'll trade off some pieces. We're not going to win this year. They end up with the worst record in the league, but they don't get the first pick when they're
how about they get a better scouting department and stop blaming it on the failure of the players, as opposed to give some responsibility or some concern to the players, the people who are in charge of putting that team together. By the way, I do believe the NBA, as part of their new lottery rules, do say no team can get more than back-to-back number one picks.
By the way, other than just
but why have a lottery?
When we talk about number one pick, what about the other, that second, third, fourth, fifth, and sometimes are still good? I wouldn't mind getting the second or third or fourth pick.
Yeah,
it's a lot of times they end up better, but how does that work out? If you can't get the first, can you get the second and the third?
Yeah. They I think the way the lottery went, you had the 14 teams that did not make the playoffs. I think that included the two play-in losers. That they gave I think the team with the worst record, Washington, who got the pick, had like a 14% chance, that the next lowest team had like a 12.5% chance or something like that, that it went all the way down to the I think the 14th team. So they weighed it somewhat, but now I don't know how many teams don't spend as much as they should. If they're going to have a salary cap, they have to have a salary floor.
Interesting. Yeah.
Because remember, all these teams now, even the Kansas City Royals or the Sacramento Kings, they get hundreds of millions of dollars from the TV contracts. There's no excuse for not spending a certain amount of money on assets.
So of your bankroll, you should be forced to spend a certain percentage of it. Is that
either that or a certain percentage of of the amount you get from national TV, the Fox and the ESPNs or whatever, or just a certain dollar amount. In baseball they don't have a salary cap, but they have a luxury tax where if you go up above a certain amount, so the Dodgers can spend any amount they want. They just have to pay a little penalty to if they exceed a certain number. But there is that hurts. A salary floor.
That really hurts baseball because there's other teams they're always playing for second place with this.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
The Dodgers look like they're going to win everything every year.
Well, that's why there needs to be some sort of. Well, I've always supported the players, that the players should be able to make as much money as they want, but it's always been a situation where. And the baseball owners have been arguing, as the other sports have, and have been successful in their arguments. They've always argued, well, there has to be a salary cap. Well, if there's a salary cap, the players may not like it, but maybe it'll be a little bit less if you also have a salary floor where you have to. In other words, let's say the salary cap is $300 million. Okay, you have to spend at least $200 million on your players.
Okay. Great.
So, what is your pick? Again, you guys are making. Andy, you have a pick in the NBA tonight?
I've got the Spurs minus the 9.5, and then the play for Game 6 will be the team that lost tonight.
So you don't really, you don't have a pick for that yet. So.
Well, I do. It's a conditional pick. It's in other words,
you don't even have a line for the game.
No, well, I'm about to give you that.
There's a line for the game, which you don't even know who.
No, I'm about to give you the condition. If Minnesota loses tonight, I don't care what the line is in Game 6.
You don't care what the line is, okay?
No, because they're not going to be favored, and if they are, it'll be by no more than 1.5 or 2 back home.
You want me to write in if
he's basically saying if the Minnesota loses, they're going to bounce back in the next game and win.
Right. But if San Antonio loses to Minnesota, San Antonio can lay, in my opinion, up to 5. As opposed to the 9.5 tonight, because they'll be facing elimination in game in Game 6.
I'll do the honor system. You can tell me how you did. And then as far as Jim, what do you have? Detroit 3.5 over Cleveland, right?
Tonight I have the Lynx. And
Detroit.
Pardon me?
And Detroit over Cleveland tomorrow.
Yes.
Yeah, tomorrow night.
Detroit minus the 3.5 over Cleveland.
I'm on that one as well, Greg.
I have not been overly impressed with anything about Detroit or Cleveland, but I've been less impressed with Cleveland. Totally mismanaged the way they use their players down low.
Yep.
They have an advantage low and they don't use them. They don't set up the plays. It's all about, and Harden, I mean, God bless him. He's 36 years old. He used to lead the league in scoring. He's not that guy anymore, but he still can do a lot of damage. But he, in the first couple of games, all he did was turn the ball over. It was horrible. It was horrible to watch. It was sad to watch. But then he turned it on in Game 3, and he played pretty damn well in Game 4, at least in the beginning. He had 16 points in the first quarter. Then of course, Donovan Mitchell in the second half with 39. I couldn't believe what I was watching. But Detroit, look for Detroit. Cade Cunningham is just 6'6" guard. I mean, he is really outstanding. There are a lot of great players in the NBA. We just need a little bit better management from the top and a little bit more control on their attitudes. But Detroit in Game 5 at home is a must win for them because they don't want to. Nobody wants to lose. That's a stupid statement. They're going to work very hard not to lose Game 5 and go back to Cleveland down 3-2. So I think they're going to put extra effort, especially after losing the last 2 games. Cleveland was lucky to pull it even at 2-2. I wasn't impressed with them. They had a 17-point lead in Game 3 and blew it. They had a 20-point lead in Game 4 and almost blew it. They're just the play calling. I'm not impressed with the coaching on the Cleveland side. I just don't think they run the right plays. They have an advantage down low, and they just don't use it properly, in my opinion. So that's I've been looking at sports for a long time. I just don't see it. I think Detroit wins. I think Detroit wins Game 5 and most likely wins the series.
And it really doesn't matter because Andy's Knicks to win the East is going to come true.
I hope
so.
The Knicks are just, unless there's one bad thing going on for the Knicks, they might have to sit too long. That's a very bad situation to sit back, and they might sit 10 days before they play a game.
I think they said that they would start either Sunday or Monday. So it'd be about a week or 8 days, I think, that they would be off.
Right. So that could be done. But I do
now, by the way, Jim, would you think then in Game 1 of that series that you play either Detroit or Cleveland plus the points, maybe first half, first quarter?
Where's the game?
New York.
But
it would be in Detroit if Detroit wins.
It has to be Detroit because they're the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
No, I'd take the Knicks at any price.
Okay, even with the lengthy delay.
Yes, but
early. I'm talking about early in the game, not for the game.
The problem is the Knicks might actually be the favorite
in Game 1.
Yeah.
At Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, could be, especially if this ugly series goes 7
We're
games.
talking about it, and what we're saying is also what the bookmakers are thinking.
Yeah.
So yeah, they could come in their favorite, even though they have the rust. You just have to wait for the line. Yeah. But in the second half of that game, I would, after the Knicks get their wheels greased up, I would like that. So it's really an in-game situation.
Let's say they play tomorrow, so that's Wednesday.
The Knicks are the better team, the hotter team, and if the waiting doesn't kill them, they're going to want to run away with the East.
Well, tomorrow's game 5. That's Wednesday. So
Correct.
Friday would be game 6. Sunday would be game 7. So I'm thinking that next Tuesday, which would be 9 days of rest for the Knicks, would be game 1 against either Detroit or Cleveland if the Detroit-Cleveland series goes 7 games.
The advantage there is you got the rust versus rest.
Yeah.
That's an old scenario, and you never can figure that out. But I don't see anybody stopping the Knicks in the East. I just don't see it.
No.
But I'll tell you what, there is nobody going to stop
OKC.
The Spurs or OKC in the championship game. No games series. That those two teams are just too damn tough.
Do you guys have anything going on in baseball?
Today I have Tampa Bay. I like Tampa Bay, and that's the only baseball game I have.
Tampa Bay against
Toronto. And I've not.
Okay.
Tampa Bay at Toronto. Yes, McClanahan against Corbin.
I got I got a decent price there, so I'm not. I think McClanahan's a superior pitcher, and the Rays are pretty damn good right now. But it's just a tough card. Usually I can have 3 or 4 plays, but some days I only have 1.
And what's the line? Minus 115?
No, I think it's
minus 111. I'm showing minus 111, minus 112.
I'm looking 105, 105.
All right, Tampa Bay minus 105. That's who you're taking?
Yes.
Patrick Corbin, a good old Washington Nationals favorite of ours. If you're a Nationals fan, he helped us win.
Greg, you haven't told us who you like.
In
anything.
Well, I've got golf to see.
I haven't heard a pick from you yet.
I got golf also with you, Greg.
Yeah, there you go. So I did the golf show yesterday, and you got, of course, the usual favorites. But Scotty Scheffler he's the defending champ of the event, but he's just not on top of his game right now, which is kind of funny considering that he's finished second in his last 3 events. But I think that shows he's not on top of his game. Statistically speaking, he's not. You know, you look. He's gotten
off to a lot of poor starts this year too in his opening rounds.
Yeah, and that puts him behind, which means if you like him, you might want to just wait until after the first round. Maybe you get a better line. And then Rory winning back-to-back, that's just so hard to do when he hasn't really performed all that well in PGA Championships in a long time. So I think there's some opportunities. I mean, Cameron Young and Matthew Fitzpatrick, those are the 2 guys that are just so hot right now. And you're getting good odds. You're getting like 12-1 with Cam Young, and you're getting almost right around 20-1 with Matthew Fitzpatrick. Yeah. Which is a pretty good value for one of the players playing as good as he's playing. So there's some decent value out there because there are some players that, again, the Rorys and the Scotties, you can see the rewards. And then you could also see a lot of other players that are considered top 20, top 30 players are just not on top of their game. So I think you got to pick out like those 5 or 6 who are. Matter of fact, I got Ricky Fowler on Sunday at 100-1. And then by Monday, he was down to 60-1. I don't know what he was doing at 100-1.
Because he hadn't been doing much, and then he nearly won the other day.
Well, he's actually had now, I think, his 3rd straight top 10. And he's, he had not put himself in position to win like he did, even though he kind of faltered at the end. His putter let him down.
Tell a couple of guys that I like. I also played Cameron Young. A couple of other guys I like. Xander Schauffele has been playing extremely well over the last month and a half with where he's finished in these tournaments, and he's a quality player.
What's
the other one,
Andy? What's the price on him?
Schauffele? I don't have it in front of you, Greg. Have you got Schauffele? Is he somewhere like around 15-20-1?
Yeah, he's about 18-1.
Yeah. The other one who always seems to play well, and he's Russell Henley.
Oh yes, he's playing really well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And another guy who played well in the. By the way, it is worth mentioning, even though some casual bettors may not know it. Unlike most tournaments, they don't play the PGA on the same course every year like they do the Masters. There's usually a rotation for the U.S. Open, the British Open, and the PGA. The PGA tends to have more courses in its rotation, maybe 8 or 10 versus 4 to 6 for the other majors. So that's another thing to keep in mind, that Scheffler's defending, but he defended it on a different course. By the way, he won it on a different course last year. The one that's been disappointing to me, Greg, has been Oberg this year.
Yeah, Ludwig is not. He's not lived up to expectations.
Well, I mean, he's got a string of top 10s, but the problem with him, this goes back about a year. He's having a hard time closing.
Yeah, it's been his 4th round.
Lots of top 10s, lots of putting himself in position, but he can't close.
Yeah,
and he will at some point. And when he does, he's probably going to go off on a tough run. I mean, a good tough run, but he's got to close. And it's
remember all the times that Phil Mickelson was the best player never to win a major, and he won the Masters, and he went on to win, what, 4 or 5 more majors?
Yep, that's what it takes. So you got to get over the hump. And I think the other 2 players that I've already bet future money on all of the majors this year are Justin Rose and Adam Scott, because they both have 1 major, and they're both dying for a second major. Yeah. And Rose has been playing great in majors. And then Adam Scott has really been playing excellent golf this year statistically. He's just have to put it all together. And you're getting big numbers. So those are guys that I think are worth it. And even Colin Morikawa, who's off to a great start this year besides the injury, is a really good value. I mean, nobody's a better value in this entire tournament than Colin Morikawa.
How's his back?
Well, that's the thing, is that, nobody knows but Colin, and he's going to play. And he's been saying that, sure, he may not be 100%, but he just, he can go out there and he could still, matter of fact, he was 7. He had 2 top 10s at the Masters and the RBC. And then he had 1 bad event at the Cadillac, took the week off, and now he's back.
Well, so he drives the ball straight, and he is a great iron player. It depends on what the course requires. What is it?
Well, the course requires lots of long iron play. You have to be really good at long iron play.
Well, that would be him. He can do that.
Yeah, so that's it's a lot of bunkers on this golf course.
Where's Morikawa
all over the place?
What are his odds?
Morikawa is about 45 to 50 to 1.
Oh, there he is.
39 to 1.
Yeah, the DraftKings is always off by 5 or 10.
What's the number? Next number is what? Top 10? Top 25?
Yeah, top 10 and top 5.
5 or 10 or 25?
My suggestion to people is it's very hard to pick a winner. Take a couple long shots, but get in the top 5 and top 10. That's what's
Scheffler's numbers on the other one? The top 5 and top 10. Hang on. Top 5 is minus 22 and minus 235.
Andy, you and I both know when everybody starts talking about one thing, it usually is a good chance to go the other way.
Yeah.
Scheffler has not been starting off well.
Yep.
He took a week off, right? Last week.
How
about if you bet him on first round to be the first round leader? I
was thinking the same thing.
Right.
Well, keep this in mind. 19 of the last 20 PGA Championship winners did not have the week off before the PGA Championship.
Did not. Okay.
Yeah.
But their name wasn't Scotty Scheffler.
Well.
Or Tiger Woods.
He's had weeks off before majors and PGA Championship. So, and also another interesting trend is, again, this if you go out and take the lead, not that if it's Scotty Scheffler, of course, but there's only been 3 winners in the last 20 that began round 2 with the lead. Matter of fact, you've had players that have won in the last 8 years at the PGA Championship that started. Scheffler, by the way, last year started in 20th. The others started 33rd, 33rd, 34th, and 38th.
Wow. In what round?
First. So you do not have to get off to a fast start at the PGA Championship. Now, you have to make sure you make it up on Friday.
To make the cut. Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, too, because, you have to be in 14 of the last 15 winners began the third round in the top 7. So you have to, so you can get off to a top 40 start, but just make sure by that second day, you better be in the top 10. The
So
top
Well, keep
seven.
in mind, part of the reason.
Your
Part of the
Friday
reason-
round has to be sensational.
Keep in mind that if you start early in the early section on Thursday, you start late on Friday and vice versa. So you've got different course conditions in the morning with the dew and whatever it might be on it versus the conditions you face when you tee off, let's say around noontime, and the course has already taken its divots and everything. So, that's part, I think, of the explanation, but it doesn't necessarily mean that if you play well on Thursday, you can't play well on Friday or vice versa.
Listen, guys, I got to run. This is the Dom DeMarco Show, 9785 West Charleston. We will be live in the studio at Dom DeMarco's restaurant at the end of August. Andy, I want to thank you for being here today. Greg, of course, you're here every week with me. I'd like to have you back, Andy, if you're available.
Absolutely.
I'd love to have you on. You're a great co-host and friend, and we love having you on. And Greg, thank you very much. You always do a fantastic job producing this show and with all of the shows that you do on your own.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll see you guys on Friday, 1:00.
Okay.
Playbook
And by the
ATS podcast.
way,